All right, so I've already asked for having a good day. I've not heard any complaints, so I'm just going to go with I'm happy everyone's in a good mood, and we're going to launch into this. My name is Skarzold. I built what I call Code Companion today, and I'm going to tell you what Code Companion is. Simply put, it is every single function you need to program in your language of choice. That's very ambitious, and I'll tell you why it's ambitious and how I achieve that in a little bit. I did want to let you know the reason that I have my face up here as big as it is. It only takes up half the screen because I actually only personally built half of this app. The other half was built by Monster Energy, and quite frankly, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. You shouldn't need anything. You shouldn't have to go and find 5, 6, 7 different things to allow you to program. You should be allowed to program just one suite, and that's what I did. Why? See, when I was young, I was raised by my brother, James. That's him right there. That's his daughter. Not me. Yes, fantastic hair, but that's different fantastic hair. When I was a young man, my brother was the coolest guy in the world. One of my earliest memories of him was walking into his office in the basement where he did all of his work, and he was putting the silver striping on a motherboard, building components and chips from scratch. This is where I got my love of computers and programming from. And when I was 13, my brother got into a motorcycle accident. He's alive. He's taking care of his family now today. But after that accident, he lost the use of one of his arms. He couldn't look at code. He couldn't even read a book without suffering massive migraines. And he had to swap careers. He's now a freelance photographer working for a local newspaper. And he managed to make ends meet, but not everyone is able to when they lose their livelihood. And for programmers, the ability to lose your livelihood, there are 10 million people in this world living with Parkinson's. There are 30,000 that have Huntington's, 30 million with dyslexia. And by no means is that all. There are sensory disorders, cognitive disorders, the list goes on and on. So many things that can stop a person from doing their job. Sure, there's a solution for that. There's dyslexic fonts. There are input devices that work for Parkinson's, but you need one for every condition, and some people have multiple. There's not just one standard that brings programming back to everyone. Well, that's what this is, because no one should ever lose the ability to earn their livelihood and perform their job due to illness or injury. That's not fair. We don't live in a world where we have to accept that. Look at this, chin switch, sip and puff, foot pedals. Yes, you have access to technology, but you're not going to program with us, not easily. Well, that's the thing. I think you should be able to. Why shouldn't you? Code Companion will offer interactive and customizable suites of accessibility options to allow programming to be easy and possible for everyone. Code Companion is your companion. Now, I know this is incredibly ambitious. This all sounds very vague and abstracted. So why don't we hop into a demo? I'm afraid I don't actually have a link here in my demo page for you guys because this isn't online unless you want to download and install something real quick. This is a portable desktop app. I've tested it out and ran it installed natively on Windows and on Mac. Let's hop into it. Code Companion right here, this little overlay we've got. If you look at my mouse, this is my input of choice. This is a mouse that has a bunch of extra functions on it. You'll see 4 rows of 3 columns, just like the setup for Code Companion. Right now, this is the default hard-coded. But when you first install this, the goal is to have it interactive so that whatever your input is, it will align itself to make the most sense to you. Now, what does this mean, just having a little overlay with all these languages? Let's go ahead and open up an IDE real quick. Want to build a web page with me?
Yeah.
All right, let's build a web page. Just going to click in here, hit the button for HTML, go into my HTML language. How do we start? We need an HTML tag. So let's go in, click of a button just like that. Move the mouse over, hands free off the keyboard, hit enter a couple times, scroll back up. Now, what do we need next? We're going to want to add in some metadata tags. I apologize, that is entirely intended. We're going to drop in a meta tag because what we want to do is put that right here. We want to add in, let's say, we want to change the character set, and we're just going to drop that right there. Let's say we don't want to do that, undo with the push of a button. I'm sorry, guys, this is taking a long time. Why don't we actually just go in here and drop in a full HTML boilerplate just like that? Okay, so you see the power of Code Companion. You see that this has everything to make this super easy. And this is just one language. So the next few features for Code Companion, aside from adding in multiple more languages and making this more portable to other systems. As a matter of fact, on the topic of input, I wrote here integration with user input device of choice with a big plus mark, because I don't care if I've never heard of said input device. It's just a hardware action. When you install this, hit that action, tell it you want it to remember that action as an input, and it will do so. There's no reason it has to be done hard-coded. This is configurable for you. I want this to be more than just what I put into it. I want this to be whatever it is needed to be. As ambitious as that is, I've got to explain how I did this. I'm actually kind of proud of this. Electron is the main component. This Visual Studio Code, if anyone's ever heard of this app, probably not, it's not that big. But this is actually built in Electron. And so while I'm in here, in an Electron app, building an Electron app, a little bit recursive, I know. So I built this at first. The most important part was a database and a user profile, because if it's customizable, it has to be you, and that has to be stored somewhere. I did that in a Firebase NoSQL database. The actual portability of the app was made in Electron with React. As I said, I do currently have it running on both Mac and Windows. For the database calls and the API, I used Express. And for the most important part of this app, the inclusively connected world, I built that with mission, drive, and empathy. And that is Code Companion.